This week on New to You, fatherhood recommendations.
Inside the mind, but inside the mind, viewing from a distance.
Welcome to New to You. I'm one of your hosts, John Holt. With me is
Keith Vincent.
and
Henry's dad. Pat Couples. That's how I'm referred to sometimes, most of the time. now.
At school, I
Henry's
bet
dad.
a lot, yeah.
Or Big Henry. Really, yeah. But I'm Pat, and I'm
Right.
here on New to You.
all right.
That's
Welcome
great.
back, Pat.
Thank you.
We had you on maybe earlier in the summer
Mm-hmm.
on a great series.
That's fun.
Perfect stuff.
Perfect.
All right. So we're bringing back Perfect today.
Yeah, actually, one of the things that I want to talk about is on one of my
Your
little
desert
perfect
island lists.
perfect lists. Yeah.
All right. So before we get into that, I am without child. I've already said on the show that I don't own any children. So
This podcast is John's child.
that's I put out so many of them.
You can rent to own
That's
children.
That's
Ooh,
a
Rent-A-Center. Yeah.
That's a concept that I really like, because if you're the middleman, like if you have parents who want to try having a kid
Yeah.
and they'll pay you, and you have parents who basically want a babysitter and they'll pay you, and you just sort of manage the process, you're reaping the benefits on both ends. Like you just pay for some insurance and a little like communication back and forth, and you're getting parents who are on the fence over they're like back over on the other side where they aren't going to have them anymore.
Yeah.
And therefore maintaining your customer base until they get the itch again. And then you're getting parents who have already taken the plunge.
Sounds like just
Some
a
relief.
rock solid business plan.
Yep.
Put that in writing.
That's good business.
That's right. We're going to have a pilot program. We'll just like take a child, leave like a $5 bill on the bench.
Called Rent the Fun Way.
Yeah. Rent the fun way.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, I wanted to share what was new to me this past week. I went and saw Weird Al's Mandatory Fun show at the Radio City Music Hall. I went with a friend of mine from grade
Super
school.
envious.
Yeah, it was a good show. I went with a friend from grade school. He had tickets that he had bought with his wife, and they were VIP tickets, so we got to like hang out in the beginning and goof around, have tinfoil hat pageants and costume contests with the diehards, and then meet Weird Al after the show, and we got pretty decent seats as well.
So Radio City is pretty like medium-sized place. It's not like a stadium, but it's a nice,
Yeah,
good,
it's like
big-sized theater.
55 to 6,000 seats.
Wow.
in Radio
Okay, so
City.
that's bigger than I even thought.
It's pretty huge.
So where
we were
estimate how far away you
so
think you were from
center left orchestra, third row from. So there's sort of like this super orchestra. There's this like barrier. There's maybe like 3 or 4 rows in that little pit, and that can be covered and you get more stage, but that was open, so there were more seats there. And so then the standard orchestra starts, and we were like 4 rows back, and that which was
cool.
a great place because you could see the whole stage, and you were close enough to see everybody. So it was a good sweet spot. So that was really nice. And then the show, we've talked about Weird Al a couple times, or well, one of his albums at length on the show before. But it was a really like high energy show. I think somebody was saying this is like his 200th show on that tour. So the album came out in 2013, and he's been touring on it since.
Yeah.
So it's, I think, 2014 or
Wait, you think
2013
he's
is when
been
he started.
touring straight? No, he hasn't been just
I think
like
he
straight up
started
touring.
like 2014, 2015 on the tour.
Is it a big production?
Pretty crazy, yeah. So they had a big screen behind him. I think his either bassist or guitarist is the same. He has a
I think
couple
his
of the
whole
same
band
bands.
is. Bermuda Schwartz is his
Yeah.
drummer. He has been since like the Demento days, Dr. Demento days.
So like
It's always
in
the same guy,
late 70s, early 80s.
Mm-hmm. A lot of his band has been consistent throughout.
Yeah, it was the whole crew. You could see everybody. They were pretty spread out, and they had a lot of set changes where they would come out in different costumes and stuff. And between those, they would show stuff on the screen. And he's had a career that spanned, almost 40 years. So they're showing clips of him being referenced through all this pop culture. So, like King of the Hill clip where it's like them in a cave, like, I don't want to die, sad and alone, like Weird Al Yankovic. And then cut, like, static cut to another, The Simpsons where they're referencing him, or Family Guy, or, not just animation references, and then clips of like Al TV.
The Naked Gun.
Naked Gun, they showed it.
Yeah.
They had they played that whole moment where he comes out where Leslie Nielsen comes out on the runway and is giving the press conference.
Yeah.
And then they look over and it's Weird Al like waving. But yeah, they just had all these clips from all of his stuff. It was really nice. Like a little,
Do they have any clips from UHF?
Oh, yeah, they showed Gandhi.
Spatula City.
Gandhi 2 they showed. one of the
Gandhi's back. He's not taking any shit from anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love Gandhi too. That's a great little bit.
So that was really nice. Like, just it was solid. You know, it started about 8:30, ended about 11:30. So it was like 2.5 to 3 hour set, something like that.
I bet you did a bunch of costume changes. He always traditionally has. Did you put on the big suit for I'm Fat?
Yeah, he did that, and it even has some like face appliques that or appliques or whatever. So that was pretty neat. And there's this one moment where they show this whole long clip of different like people talking about Eat It, because Eat It was like a breakout
certainly
hit. And so all these references to Eat It, and then they set up these candles, and the whole band is set around like in an acoustic set, and they start playing Layla, and they start singing Eat It to Layla.
Like the Eric Clapton song.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's like
That's great.
Wow. So it was Layla, the unplugged version.
Yeah.
You got me on my knees, Layla.
Yeah, but he was singing Eat It, and then he just kept going with an acoustic. Basically, it was an acoustic set of other songs with the parody, like the words to the parodies that he's singing against it. It was a showcase of the fact that these guys are all like music nerds as much as
and musical, like just such great crafts people. They're amazing.
Somebody in the audience, this out of complete little tangent. Somebody in the audience of the Eric Clapton acoustic set is a real bonehead, because he starts playing the riff that has nothing to do with the original riff, and somebody in the audience cheers as if they know what they're about to hear. Like, yeah, I love this
on
song.
Unplugged?
I love this song.
Woo! I thought he would play this one.
And it's like, this is not the riff from Layla. You know, you have no idea what you're cheering for. You just were like, yeah.
He just had it. Come on, man. You can't be
C
upset
chord.
at enthusiasm.
It's C chord.
Enthusiasm.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right.
You're playing guitar. I've heard one of your guitar songs.
You're Eric Clapton. Play. I will say that era, that Unplugged of Eric Clapton, really solid.
Oh my God!
Really good.
Yeah, that album.
Tears in Heaven.
That album was really.
That's a real when he plays Tears in Heaven. Waterworks, y'all.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
It's an amazing album.
It rains every time someone plays that song.
Yep.
So other highlights. So they did the encore. They came out, like you had all these stormtroopers come out and like a Darth Vader and a little build up, and then they come out and so it's all like Star Wars centric. There's stars on the screen, all kinds of stuff. And they sing.
This is the encore?
This is in the encore. And
Did he sing the episode 1?
No, he sang the cell phone song.
What's that?
So I don't know if you remember Al TV. There's where he would take over MTV for the like April Fool's Day. Mm-hmm. So one of the Al TV things he would do is interview celebrities. So he would take like usually a footage that ended up on the floor from a celebrity interview and intercut himself asking the questions, like Space Ghost style.
Yeah.
So it would be like this.
But way before Space Ghost.
Right. And this is like Michael Stipe and him, and he's asking Michael Stipe these questions, and he's like, well, we should collaborate. We should work on something together. And Michael's like, yeah, sure, okay. Well, you come up with the words, and I'll make the song. And he's like, okay, so just say some words. And Michael Stipe goes, we've all got let's get real. We all have cell phones. Everyone has cell phones. Let's get real. And he's like, all right. And he sings a little, like Weird Al sings a little riff of it. That could work. And and so that's the song he sings, is like, we all have cell phones.
Did they play the clip so that you saw it?
Yeah, like earlier on. So it was like a callback too to its own thing. And everyone, I got video of it, like everyone in the audience is like waving their cell phones as he's singing it. But it was a lot of like fun bait and switch where you're a lot of setup and then tweaking expectations, which is good comedy.
Oh yeah.
But then he went into the Saga.
Saga Begins,
and then went into Yoda.
Which is, listen, Saga Begins is brilliant. I love that. And I don't know how he must have gotten, so Saga Begins was the song he put out for the first Star Wars, like the Star Wars prequel when it came out. And
was it off Running with Scissors?
Yes. And I don't know
99.
I don't know if he got advanced script or what. Somehow he knew, because when the movie came out, the song was already out. So somebody out there, please tell me how he was able to know. I mean, maybe Lucas gave him a script or something, but he knew all the beats of the movie because it's set to Bye bye Miss American Pie. Maybe
Vader someday later. Now
but in this one he goes, my this here Anakin guy. Maybe Vader someday later. Now he's just a small fry.
Yeah.
He left his home and kissed his mommy goodbye, singing
Someday I'm going to be a Jedi.
Yeah, someday I'm gonna be a Jedi.
Yeah, he's always in really good contact with the people he rips off, right?
Yeah, usually.
Generally,
Yeah.
from what I understand, he's really good friends, and this is urban legend, but he's really good friends with Rico Suave because he became friends when he was parodying his song.
And I mean, everyone's.
And now they bolt together.
Rico's never talked to me about that.
Uh-oh.
Listen, talk to him. I mean, maybe he compartmentalizes his
He was
life.
causing trouble at home.
I'm just a
for Pat.
different circle.
Speaking of friends of Weird Al, so I mean, everybody's Lin-Manuel Miranda's
Let's-
friend.
Let's
but
hold on just a second. Let's just take that in for a second. This your
seg?
segue. Speaking of friends of
Weird Al. Well, specifically, so I guess everybody's Lin-Manuel Miranda's hot right now, and he came out and sang one
And
refrain
rightfully
of
so.
Yoda. Yeah, he's a super nice guy, so he ran out and sang a line of
That's
Yoda
awesome.
during the Yoda thing.
which part?
The
Bubbles all the time like a giant carbonated soda.
No, it's past
S-O-D,
after that.
soda.
He might have done
I
like
saw
one
the
of
little
the like
runt sitting there on a log.
Y-O-D-A, yo. Yeah, I don't
I
know
asked
which
him
one.
his name, and in a raspy voice, he said Yoda. Y-O-D-A, Yoda.
Should have had you out there to sing it.
Nicely done, Keith.
Oh, dude, I know. There are 3 of his records where I can almost sing any song off the record.
Super nice show. Another highlight in the lounge in the beginning before the show, they had this little like touring sort of gallery of his stuff, and so you could see early props from his videos and
Any like stop motion puppet guys from any of his stop motion stuff?
no, none of that. They did have the like original handwritten script of UHF like on this
awesome.
loose leaf notebook.
That's
paper.
wow. That would have been
So
great.
that was pretty wild. And just all different little pieces of memorabilia from his life. So it was pretty fun. And the sort of intro lounge thing that we did had a costume contest and had they revealed the wheel of fish and someone won a raffle to spin it and they did the whole
Did they
like,
get the red snapper?
yeah, well they
That's
won
a good fish.
rainbow trout. And they're like, very good, rainbow trout. And but then they offered them the box, and of course they took the box, and everyone got to say, so stupid. The best part is part of that earlier contest, and this was kind of the nice thing. We're like, middle-ish or youngish middle-aged people, and there were little kids there, and some older people. I actually saw like some guys that Ray Alma, our illustrator friend of ours, knew through Mad Magazine because they had done some work for the thing, so they got like comped tickets.
Ray got in?
Not Ray,
Oh,
but
some friends
the
of
2
his.
art designers, Sam and Ryan from Mad Magazine,
Okay.
who were like art directors for.
I know a bunch of people that were at that show too. Jason Oliveri
Oh
was
yeah,
there.
Mary and them saw him
Yeah,
there.
cool.
So yeah, what they had as well were these like a couple contests. They had a polka off where they had people poking and they had a guy like tapping you on the shoulder to get off the floor, and it came down to like this like guy.
Were they playing like
all
the
the polkas?
polkas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So it came down to like a little kid and a couple other like older guys, and the one guy was like, whatever, he wasn't gonna win, and the other guy started basically breakdancing, like footwork and like all kinds of stuff. Then the kid, who was probably like 8 or 9, starts like back handspringing and doing all this stuff, and so of course
Were
he
they
won.
plants?
No, they were just enthusiastic people, and so he won that.
That's the
and-
kind of talent that shows up to a Weird Al show in the audience.
Exactly. Then they had a foil hat pageant, so you could make, because they had tinfoil on, you could make your own foil hat, and
They just had it out
just
in the,
out at like at every table where you would be
intervals?
like drinking and stuff, there'd just be tinfoil, so you could make your own hat. And this little kid comes up, as part of the pageant, and he's like got a little like crown with horns or whatever, and the guy's like, oh, you have your weasel stomping uniform? He's like, I'm Buffalo Man. And he's probably 4, this kid. And they have him, like, he gets to the second round, which is a swimsuit competition, so they have to make aluminum foil swimsuits. And so he's got his swimsuit on, and they're like, all right, you've won this round, but now this is the talent competition. And so the one of the guys who was like, he had a tinfoil hat, and he had spelled hat, H-A-T, in tinfoil, and those were up, and he wore like a Borat thing, and he was a real good sport about it. And there's some other person who I don't recall, and she had a dinosaur aluminum foil thing. It was very nicely sculpted. So
these were made like at the time.
at the
This
time.
wasn't
they were
like
just
pre-made.
like goofing around.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it was like stupid human tricks. And so the one guy did the thing where you put a quarter on your
Yeah,
elbow
okay.
and catch it, and everyone's like, "Woo!" woo. And the other woman's like, I have like extra
Double-jointed thumbs.
joints in my thumbs. And the other one's like, woo. And the kid's like, I'm going to do karate. And so he does like little 4-year-old karate. And everyone's like, yeah. Like everyone's cracking up. It was wild. And he won. And he
got
us
free college.
Yeah,
He won,
that's
a
amazing.
scholarship. Yeah.
Well, he
good
won't
job.
need it.
yeah.
No.
Well, he
it'll
got
be free by
he
then.
got an
Yeah.
aluminum. He got an
Yes.
aluminum foil
Please
crown
let it be free by then.
and an aluminum foil bouquet. And then they had him give a speech, and he's like, stumbling like, everyone worked hard up here, and it's okay, even though I won, because we all have each other. Everyone's like, "Aw."
Yeah, that's really sweit.
It was really
Did
weird.
they ask
Yeah.
like, oh, so now what's your favorite Weird Al song?
No, they just
Okay.
kind of like left him at that. But what was nice,
He was on
and-
stage the rest of the night.
Exactly. He was just up there in a little
Karate
cage.
chopping. You've won the right to be in a cage during the entire Weird Al concert.
Where I want to wrap this up and maybe seg is it was nice to see this multi-generational sort of thing. Like Weird Al is a milestone, maybe, it's like a 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old sort of thing. That's when it kind of struck in my life. And that's like the kind of age range of kids for the most part that we saw there. And it just seems like it's a something that touches people in multiple generations. And I've talked to my nephew when he was about that age about it, and he was like discovering it and getting into it, and it was something to share and like both laugh about and bond over. And I think that's a good seg into our topic.
Yeah.
So I'll let it roll into that.
Multi-generations. Well, did your nephew like it?
Yeah, he liked it. Like we would listen to Albuquerque
Yeah.
as we drove through Albuquerque. Just like listen to all the fun weird songs that Weird Al
Colin.
has.
Was it Colin?
Yeah, Colin. But yeah, like, and even Mary's brother, because she's a good deal younger than us. When we would visit them, like her and her cousins, or him and her the cousins were all discovering that at that age, and so
During White and Nerdy era?
yeah, exactly. So it's a fun thing that it's harmless.
Well,
There's no
also,
edge to
every
it.
couple of years, I would say it's probably around every 8 or 9 years, he will come up with something that will be kind of like a time marker for that era. So like you said, Eat It was really big, and then every couple of years, the next batch of kids will be like introduced to him from some new breakthrough, like White and Nerdy.
I don't know the deep cuts, but basically that's what I know about him.
Yeah.
Is White and Nerdy, Amish Paradise, Eat It, and Fat.
Well, so Amish Paradise is one of the few songs where he actually had a feud with the creator, which is Coolio.
yeah.
So just so you know,
But
Bad
that's
Blood
also
there.
a Stevie Wonder song.
Yeah, that's how he got around it.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't even have to ask you for permission. I'm gonna go to Stevie Wonder. The other one is Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
Oddly.
Huh.
The Flintstones song that he did, they were like, how dare you reduce our songs to Yabba Dabba Doo? We're like, have you listened to your songs?
That's what I thought he was saying the entire time anyways.
Yabba Dabba 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 Doo. Give it away, give it away, give it away now. Instead of Yabba Dabba Doo now. So I don't think you could be that upset about that.
I'm not upset about when he ripped off my music.
When he parodied, he didn't rip it
Yeah.
off, he
Well,
parodied.
sorry,
It's
sorry.
homage.
Yes.
I mean, he wrote a song that you were going to write and then put funny words to it.
Exactly.
We do eventually need to stop talking about Weird Al, but I do. I have such a respect for the guy. He's been one of my favorites for years. I still love seeing him show up on shows and anything he does. But I didn't go see him because I'm stupid. I don't know. I guess what I wanted to ask is, did he do any of his kind of like deeper cuts? Did he do any things like...
he did the whole Mandatory Fun thing for the most part. He did most of those tracks. He did White and Nerdy. He did Amish Paradise. He did... it was kind of fun. This was off of Mandatory Fun, but...
He didn't do Dare to Be Stupid?
Yep, he did Dare to
Okay.
Be Stupid. He didn't come on stage. Like, he always kind of, I guess, comes on in a funny way. So they show on the monitor, the band comes out, they're playing, and it's the tacky, or it's 'Cause I'm Happy.
Oh,
the
yeah,
Pharrell
okay.
song.
Yeah.
But it's that, and they cut to the big screen, and it's him on the street outside Radio City.
Oh, wow.
And just kind of like, so he dances his way in and down through the crowd, and
Well, that video is really funny.
yeah, it was...
I like that video.
It was pretty cute. So there was a lot of like levels of audience interaction. He did "Smells Like Teen Spirit," or well,
Smells like
like
Nirvana.
Nirvana,
yes.
yeah. He did Maybe I always blank on which ones are his like originals. He didn't do a ton of those, but I do like his originals. He did some polka too, like a polka medley. So yeah, there were some good mixed cuts on
Wonderful.
there.
Some of the favorite things that he does that I love are he will make a song that's completely ridiculous, and it won't be a straight up parody of a band, but it'll be kind of like
An homage.
yeah. So he's got a song that's like that for the Police. Dare to Be Stupid is exactly that of Devo. It's not a direct parody of Devo, but if you wouldn't be, I mean, it's instantly that it's Devo. He's
Right.
kind
There's
of
one
doing a
off
take
of,
on.
Was it Poodle Hat? That's like a Frank Zappa
Yeah.
song.
Genius in France.
Yep. I'm a genius in France.
Actually, Dweezil and Ahmed play on that song.
Oh,
with him,
really?
so yeah, it's perfect. Anyway, so I guess we should move on from Weird Al. Even it pains me to say.
Inside the mind, but inside the mind.
Go to sleep, you little baby. Go to sleep, you little baby. Your mama's gone away and your daddy's gonna stay. Didn't leave nobody but the baby. Go to sleep, you little
So one thing that comes up a lot on the show is, especially now that we're getting older and some of us are having children, is would you show this to your kid? Would you show this to your nephew, a niece?
That's come up on the show a couple times, I think.
How old would a kid have to be before you showed this to them? That kind of stuff.
I think even last week when we did the Cubo one, somebody was like, would you show that to your kids?
Yeah, like how old is the threshold? Because
Yeah.
my contention there was it was a little scary. So maybe like a little like 8
Yeah.
would be 6 to 8. I don't know. But yeah, that's where we were topping. What I wanted to do and why I brought you guys on, you both have children. We're very boy-centric, I guess, because you both have boys.
Sorry.
Yep.
And
And
that's
we're all
right.
boys.
That's
Yeah, we're
true.
all boys.
And Pat, you are expecting.
We're expecting very soon, and it might be a girl. I don't know.
Congratulations. That's fun.
Yeah. When's this airing?
Next week, next
Okay.
Monday.
Yeah, we won't have one by then, unless something happens. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we're gonna have one that'll probably take me out of pop culture even further for a little while. But
Pop culture.
further into pop culture.
Papa culture.
Papa culture. That's good. That'll be my
That's
blog.
me, Papa culture. I
my
make
blog.
bad jokes about pop culture.
Yeah, so I've got a little 4-year-old boy, Henry. I'm Henry's dad.
A really fun little dude.
Very fun. He's really into Spider-Man
And has
right
he
now.
seen Spider-Man?
Well, this is the craziest thing about Spider-Man. I didn't grow up reading comics, and they didn't so I wasn't an influence on him. I wasn't recommending that he check stuff out. I don't even know where he saw Spider-Man for the first time, but it wasn't. He didn't see a comic. He didn't see a video of it. He didn't see anything, and he was just immediately obsessed and started we had a Spider-Man cake for his 3rd birthday. And from there, it was just like everything Spider-Man. And it's been like that ever
did that
since.
kind of, you think it's something where it's an influence of, because I've seen this too with my nephews where it's like he is all about R2-D2 and all about Star Wars and all about Chewbacca. And
R2-D2 specifically. That's an interesting
like
one.
all that stuff and knows like the characters, but has never seen a lick of it. Like not a single
because
thing.
it's better in your head. I mean, as at that age, you're building up whatever this thing is, whatever the Spider-Man thing is. It's awesome. I can see this guy. I mean, how can you not see Spider-Man as a kid his age?
Yeah.
You can't ride the bus without some kid having it,
So that's the
or
question. Like,
go
does
to school.
Does that influence come from being in preschool or
I indulge
pre-K?
him now too.
Certainly, and I'm not saying that he shouldn't have been exposed. I'm just saying that like it's interesting that you said I never showed him Spider-Man, but how does a kid not see
But
Spider-Man?
it could have been the Wiggles. It could have been
yeah.
it could have been some like really offensive stuff to my like what
Tastes.
yeah. Whatever
Like
it was.
that Fred Rogers guy.
He was pretty hard.
What
edge.
a wimp!
Yeah. No, I mean, we talk basically. I'm sure being in New York too, like there's probably an uptick in kids wearing Spider-Man stuff. But we talk about Forest Hills and we talk about where he lives and different things. And now it was probably the last couple months, he's been able to watch some Amazing Spider-Man stuff.
Wait, like what's this Amazing Spider-Man? Like a animated series that's out right now?
Yeah, it's an animated series on Netflix, whatever that one is. A lot of I'm trying to think of who's the guy that runs the Avengers?
Tony Stark?
No,
the Shield guy.
Agent Shield. So
Yeah.
it's like it's basically like
Nick Fury. Gee whiz.
Nick Fury.
I just lost all street cred. Sorry, people.
So it's
I didn't look that up though.
Nick Fury runs Agent Shield School, and Spider-Man leaves high school to go to be like a member of Shield. So I'm learning a lot about Spider-Man too. I know a great deal more than I have. And then when we found at like some sort of like shopping, grocery store or something, there was like a $3 DVD, and we have a DVD player in our car. So my wife's like, all right, well I'll get a $3 DVD, and it's 3 episodes of Spectacular Spider-Man,
Which is my favorite of the
Do you
most
know
recent.
Spectacular
I know the
Spider-Man?
Spectacular, the one from the late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
I love
That
that.
was
one.
like
And,
CG buildings and
No,
stuff.
I haven't seen
perhaps it
any
is,
of this
but-
stuff. I never see it. I just listen to it.
So the designer is a guy named Cheeks, who's a designer I really like, and he art directed it. And so the character design is really neat. It's kind of, if it's what I'm thinking, I think it
Yeah, I
is
think it is.
Spectacular. So and what it is they kind of go back to old style Spider-Man. It's a kid in high school. He's dealing with the football team. He's dealing with Flash. He's
Yeah.
dealing with and
It's kinda
it
cool in that
also
way.
and it's an easy way to create content from their end, because they're like, we're just going to go through all the origins. So this week it's the origin of Dr. Octopus. This week it's the Vulture, whatever, whoever. But it's pretty cool because he's friends with Norm Osborn or Harry Osborn, who's a kind of a wimp. And I think it's the 3rd episode. Harry takes the serum to join the football team.
No, we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, we've been watching these 3 episodes for the last 2 months, or listening.
I was going to recommend that's the Spectacular Spider-Man. I really loved
and
that
he's
series.
really
it's
into,
very simple.
He's
It's a
really
simple one.
into. This will get into like kind of where I want to go with like my recommendations for my own son and things I want to do with him. But like, he's really into the theme song of Spectacular Spider-Man, which is a complete. It's kind of an homage to Queens of the Stone Age, I feel like.
Yeah.
So like he's really into this like kind of nice heavy
Yeah.
California rock kind of thing.
This is the
you know?
exact show I was thinking
Yeah,
of. Thank
yeah.
goodness. Yeah.
So when are you going to graduate him to Super Friends?
What
Dude,
what's-
that's a DC universe. He's
no.
gonna
It
get
was, it was the
Super Friends.
Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends.
Yeah.
That's the one. So that
Spider-Man,
was like
yeah.
Spider-Man. He basically had a dorm room with Iceman from the X-Men and Firestar.
Firestorm.
Yeah, was she also a mutant? She's just another.
They made her up for the show, and then she got a spin-off.
So basically,
after
they
that.
just shared an apartment or whatever. I don't know what their deal was if they were in college, and they would just kind of then go fight villains. There was really little structure, I think, to the show.
No, well, he's talking about this was a show when we were kids.
Okay. I
and-
have no recollection of this.
And it was really interesting because it was the 80s it was the 80s animation, so
Yeah.
it was Deke that did it, I
Yeah,
believe.
it's limited.
And but I remember their apartment was cool because it had like secret the walls would turn down, there's computers and all this stuff, like their secret base.
So, and in terms of like things I wouldn't show him, there was I don't know, it was on some streaming service that we get for free. There was a Spider-Man that I just turned on for him. Animated Spider-Man. And it was voiced by Neil Patrick Harris. And immediately, like, there was sexual innuendo, like they were saying the word ass and like a lot of like adult behavior. So Spider-Man had gone to college and he was getting into it with all of like, they were talking about like hot girls and hot villains, and like there was just all of this like adult stuff. And I heard a couple things. I was like, okay, we're gonna turn this off. And my son, like, I don't even think he found it interesting, which I think is part of like the recommendation process for like what age. He's luckily at an age where like if it's not just kind of cool and funny and
Instantly.
and basically exhilarating, he doesn't want anything to do with it. you know?
Visceral.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did we show? We showed my niece and nephew. What they call it, the Steven Universe. They called it Crystal Gems because that's the team. And
It should be called Crystal Gems, by the way.
And they would just sit there like mouths agape, just staring at this
How
thing.
old are they?
it was like 3.5, 4, and 5, something like that about this at that time.
Yeah.
So, young kids and just like,
Yeah.
like
They
what,
go into the
what are you
TV
doing
trance.
to me?
Yeah.
Really weird stuff. And then when they were a little bit younger, like I showed them Adventure Time because they were being rowdy at a restaurant. I put Adventure Time on my phone and they were like watching. It was this gut grinder episode. And the dog thing gets kind of like big and scary and hairy. So without any sound, just in the middle of a restaurant, like my nephew, who's probably like 2.5 at the time, is like gets kind of spooked and like upset because it's like just the imagery was scary enough. So I was like, all right, enough of this. We're good. He's fine. He's fine. It's all gonna be fine.
Moving on.
Yeah.
You're gonna watch Daniel Tiger from now on.
Yeah.
It's a sweet show.
Yes. Speaking
But again,
of Fred Rogers.
Again, unfortunately, it's spun out of the mad ramblings of Fred Rogers. So.
He would be running for president right now, I think.
Versus Trump.
He had lasted, yeah. Rogers v. Trump.
It'd be the quietest debate ever. So him getting into Spider-Man,
Yeah.
you're like, all right, we're gonna go with this.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I mean, I talk about, I'm learning a lot about it and just kind of discussing all the guys. Like, it's just amazing. And he has this, I don't know, like he just absorbs it and he knows
Yeah.
every single villain and every single.
Is Spider-Man real?
He talks about the real Spider-Man. I think he knows he doesn't exist, but he's like, maybe one day I'll be the real Spider-Man. And he's been like climbing walls a lot, and he'll climb his feet up a wall and do handstands. And then if there's two walls close enough together, he climbs up. Yeah, which is kind of impressive and cool. There's maybe sort of in the same vein of like some of our holiday superheroes, like Santa Claus. Like there's an optimism, that perhaps.
Hey, the idea had to come from somewhere, right, Dad?
Yeah.
Like, it had to come from somewhere. Somebody just can't come up with Spider-Man. There's got to be something behind it.
Perhaps he knows that Spider-Man isn't real, and he knows Spider-Man's a cartoon, but somewhere.
But it's based on something,
But it's
maybe.
based on a real person that was bit by a radioactive spider.
So does Henry have like imaginary like buddies or stories that he tells? about imaginary
Yeah,
buddies?
he has a place that he calls the Spider-Man house, and the Spider-Man house is taller than the Empire State Building. It's taller than the building that they're building in Greenpoint right now. And all of his friends come over there. All of his real friends come to the Spider-Man house, and crazy things happen. Whatever things that he has been like not negatively affected, but things that he's experienced in his short life. Like the grandest of those happen at the Spider-Man house. He even like has it's almost as if he has lived a previous life, because he talks about how him and his older brother, hang out at the Spider-Man house and have done all of the. Oh yeah, I did that when I was 6 with my older brother at the Spider-Man house, and it's like whatever, parachuting and stuff like that.
Squirrel suits. Yeah.
So yeah, there's an imagination. I just want to see the Spider-Man house. I can't wait till he's like
Old enough to
draw it
Yeah.
or something. I hope it's still around. It's a great place.
And was there another like imaginary cast or place before Spider-Man was the man?
No, he never had.
I imagine those mechanisms probably developed at the same time as his love for Spider-Man.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it's probably the two came up together.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because again, another parallel to my nephew, he has Jaffy the Fighter, and Jaffy the Fighter has a brother and a sister and a dead brother and a dead parents who drowned. They fell off the submarine or whatever.
Did they get dead?
They got dead.
They got dead.
Or they drowned. They fell off the ship and drowned.
Yeah.
They're all on the same boat. And he has an egg that's like from an alien that he protects and keeps these pesky penguins away from, Jaffy the Fighter, and he fights stuff.
Mostly penguins.
But when he introduces to me, he's
I gotta
probably
say,
like 3.5.
Fighting penguins is easy.
Yeah.
I'm
Or
just
Jaffy
gonna
the
say.
Fighter.
I'm just gonna go out there and tell you. If I've got to fight, I'm gonna be up against some penguins.
But he introduced it to me as, have you seen the Jaffy the
Unless
Fighter
you're
show?
underwater.
Yeah.
The Jaffy the Fighter show.
Yeah. Have you seen the Jaffy the Fighter show? And I was like, no, what happens in that? And he starts telling me all the stuff that happens. And then I'm like, what is the show? My sister's like, no, he made that all. Like, that's all in his head. So there is no Jaffy the Fighter show.
There is,
well,
but it's
yeah.
just not on TV.
Exactly. that's yeah. But now he's integrating Legos into it and all the pop culture stuff that he's getting into, and he's a huge Lego file. And I showed him the Lego movie, him and his sister, and they were really, really into it.
Yeah.
I gotta say, as a kid, everybody had Legos, but man, did they reach a different level of kids' enthusiasm since I was a kid. Like, of course you wanted to play with Legos. You could build whatever you want, but kids are crazy about Legos right now. It's unbelievable. They just get crazy over them.
Yeah. The branding only helps because then they're like, oh, it's Spider-Man and Legos.
Yeah.
Like,
I had a hospital, which I loved building my hospital, but it's not.
Then
it's not
once
a
it's built,
branded.
that's that,
It's like
yeah.
here's my hospital. There's a place for the helicopter to land, but I didn't have a helicopter. I did a lot. I had so many Legos that I just went in my own
Same
direction
here,
and just
yeah.
kind of built whatever I wanted. But
Mostly spaceships.
there were no G.I. Joe Legos or He-Man or whatever I was into at the time. It was all just here's
Here's
Legos.
Lego, yeah.
There's the blue ones and the gray ones.
Yeah.
And my older brother had the ones that actually you could like move a robotic Lego.
Techniques,
thing.
Technics or whatever.
So I mean that was like the high echelon of Legos in my mind. And now you can build your own Darth Vader. And we were walking around the store the other day, and it was just insane. They look amazing.
yeah, they're really nice.
And the kinds of parts that are available now, I just love. They just, because when I was a kid, it was like if you wanted your ship to have like an angle on it, there was just the one piece.
Yeah,
Made that one angle. Yeah.
Well, if you have a 3D printer, you
yeah.
could make your own. If you lose a Lego piece, it's not the end of the world anymore.
Not even. There are people who are designing custom, like their own special pieces,
Right.
and
There's a whole
you
thing-
can buy the model
Yeah.
and print it out yourself. There these people that have designed their own Lego character people, and so it's like a Lego person, except there are so many more joints to it. Like the articulation, the movement is like way beyond, like ball and socket joint.
And
type
I've seen
stuff.
one where they've made like multi connectors. So it's like you want your Tinker Toys and your Legos and your
wow.
Yeah.
Zoobs and all that stuff to live together in the same
That's
world.
cool.
Here's a thing that lets you connect your Legos to your Zoobs or your erector sets to your Tinker Toys. And so, you can go hog wild.
We had that when I was a kid. It was called super glue.
Duct tape.
Mm-hmm.
So we've gotten a little backstory. What would you?
So Henry loves Spider-Man.
Love Spider-Man.
Yeah, and so what would you want to show? Like, what's sort of next, and
What are you
is
waiting for? Like,
what's the big
okay,
thing?
I can't wait till he's this to show him or this. When-
I haven't pushed music on him, but like I'm really excited for. I think there's very few times that I've seen something where I'm like, man, that would be the coolest relationship to have with a son. And
like Mozart and his dad.
well, okay, so I saw something. There must have been like a Wilco album coming out. Maybe
There's a new one now, right?
yeah, there's
Just
a new
came
one.
out, yeah.
Maybe like 10 years ago or 8 years ago, they were putting out a new album, and I think Jeff Tweedy was interviewed on 60 Minutes or something like that. How I saw this thing, because I don't watch 60 Minutes, but like how I saw this little story on him was beyond me. But him and his son Spencer were playing Sissy Strut in Spencer's bedroom, and Tweedy was playing bass, and it's like this old Meters tune. It's a famous Meters tune, and his son was really good. He was like 14, and they're just jamming together. And I was just like, man, like that would be the coolest thing. This is before I had a kid or even was probably married or I was like, wow, that's so cool. A few years ago, Jeff Tweedy produced Mavis Staples' album. I think it's called You Are Not Alone. I don't know the album well.
I know the first one he produced.
You
with
do?
him, yeah.
Oh, is that not the first? Did he do
what's
multiple?
the one that? So I thought that the one that you were bringing to the table was another Staples record, because I don't remember Spencer being involved with
Spencer played drums on the album.
the whole album.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow.
So like that was 4 years ago or something. And
Okay.
Tweedy played everything else.
Yeah.
And
It's
they're
a
probably,
fun record.
It's a really fun
Mhm.
record, and it sounds really good. But just the idea of jamming with your son seems so cool to me.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that I'm excited for him to experience, and the thing that I hope he enjoys, is stuff like the "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" soundtrack. where the playing and the harmonizing is something that like that kind of music will last forever for the people that are participating in it, because it's so joyful. And the vibrations of two voices singing together is like otherworldly. So that's one of my favorite soundtracks, definitely, probably, top 3 soundtracks of all time. But just the way that, whether it's the Soggy Bottom Boys or Alison Krauss, and I'm trying to think of who else plays the sirens in that movie.
I think Lucinda Williams.
Lucinda Williams, and maybe, not Diana Krall. It's
might be actually.
But just
I'd have to look that.
yeah,
one up.
the
I
siren,
don't remember who the third siren
the
is.
siren songs are amazing, and I want to get him into, I won't push him into it, but like singing gospel and spiritual songs with me.
I mean, do you guys sing at home? Do you guys
we do
sing a lot?
We do. I sing all the time. We have a piano that I play badly, and I play Beatles songs, easy guitar Beatles songs. So like,
it's like early era.
Even though I'm playing piano, all I'm looking at is like C, G, E minor, very simple things that I can play. And he's really into it. And every now and like, if I play Yellow Submarine, that's the biggest hit of all time. But the other day I played
put Spider-Man on there. It's
yeah.
perfect.
I try to learn I tried to learn some stuff from the Frozen soundtrack and Beauty and the Beast, and he with Little Mermaid I can play on piano. It's very simple 1-4-5 stuff. But like, I played this Beatles song, and it might have been like You Never Give Me Your Money or something. And he stopped me afterward. He's like, "That was really nice, Dad."
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just
Cool.
like, to hear a 4-year-old say something like that is pretty amazing. Yeah, and it wasn't very nice. It was. I sang all right, but my playing's pretty crappy.
No, does he sing along?
Yeah, Yellow Submarine, he sings along too. And kind of what I would say what's in a new to me world is Beauty and the Beast. It was just in between it was a little bit later.
Yeah.
I was like too old for it because I was 11 when it came out or something like that. It's amazing.
And it's all about love and stuff.
Ugh. It's amazing. So we've been singing. He's seen it 2 or 3 times now in the last month, I think. And he's obsessed with the Gaston song. So we've been singing that together. And
I'm especially good at expeculating.
Tui, 10 points for Gaston. We sing it on the bike to school every morning.
Wow.
We sing Gaston, and he just wants to sing it over and over and over again. And even if he doesn't know the words, he he's like a showman, and he just mouths it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Very
pretty
cool.
incredible.
So
And that's the biggest like show tune of that song.
Yeah,
of that
yeah.
movie as well. I feel
Definitely.
Like.
Well, there's the provincial
Be
life.
our guest.
Provincial life is really big. It's the bonjour, bonjour.
Yeah, but I don't feel like it's as like kind of catchy or iconic.
Yeah.
I guess because you don't really have the repeating like no.
Oh yeah, no,
it just feels
it's
like
really,
a bar.
It's
a
a
bar.
bar.
Yeah. Like in the Oliver Twists, the Oompapa song is like that, where you just like, it's like the Star Spangled Banner. It's an old bar tune.
Yeah,
You can just sing
it's
along.
so good. So yeah, I'm really excited to kind of delve into like more of the music that I would choose to listen to with him. But he's really into it, as far as trying to get him to see movies and stuff. There's stuff that surprises me that he's into. He saw Fantastic Mr. Fox at some point. He just saw like a bit of it, and he had never seen, it was like 5 minutes, and he's like, "This is my favorite movie." And we've watched it all the way through with him, and he thinks it's just the greatest movie of all time.
Well, I have a similar experience. My kid's too young really to watch much, so we haven't really shown him much. But just last week, 2 weeks ago, he was sick, and we were at the house. I was like, "Buddy, I'm just gonna let you watch some movies," and he did not care for anything except the Curious George movie.
Pretty good.
But Fantastic Mr. Fox was one of the ones I was like, this is gonna be perfect. The pacing is kind of like low key. There's and there's lots of fun little action stuff. He just didn't. He was just like, monkey movie.
Really?
Play me the monkey movie.
Oh.
Like go Curious George again?
Yeah. Oh boy, this kid knows Curious George the movie by heart now, and the soundtrack, which I also really
We listened to it last night at dinner. It's just Jack Johnson.
Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
Is this a animated or live action?
animated, came out in 2009, I believe. Will Ferrell's
It's
the
kind of
voice.
a movie to put on when your kid's sick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like
Innocuous
ginger
kind
ale.
of thing.
Yeah, it makes you feel
Ginger
good.
ale, that's it.
It makes you feel good and like doesn't do a whole lot of damage.
But
Yeah.
I'm really glad Henry likes Fantastic Mr. Fox.
It's
That's
so
just
crazy.
poor songwriting, PT. That's just poor songwriting, PT. I love that line.
He loves the rat and and the music is so good.
That's Willem Dafoe.
What we end up
It's the apple. It's the cider.
You're looking a little long in the tooth. I think one of the we kind of have a tough time as a family trying to figure out how much video to watch and stuff like that.
Limit screen time.
So
I'm having that. He's only reached a stage now where we're actually okay with him watching some, but now we're having that issue of like, okay, so how much? Because he keeps asking for it.
And maybe this goes along with like kind of getting him into the music side of things. Like we found that we will just the stuff that he's into that we've put in front of him has great music in it. And so he watches the movie once, and we spend the next 3 weeks to 6 weeks listening to the soundtrack. And he tells us what's happening in the movie. And we don't watch it. We just listen. The WALL-E soundtrack is a beautiful soundtrack. And so he watched WALL-E once or twice. And then we just put the soundtrack on all the time. Even the Nutcracker Ballet we were lucky enough to see last year, and we still play the Nutcracker
cool.
Ballet for him, and he knows like what parts are going on. And we
That's
talk
nice.
about it, you know. So we're trying to encourage that. And
I think that's a really smart way to do it because
Yeah.
it
he's
keeps it in their
movie,
head.
Yeah.
And it keeps their, instead of them zoning out and letting this happen to them, he is actively reconstructing it in his head, which I think is a wonderful thing for kids to be able to do.
Is the next move then to like start bringing out those old like narrative ballads kind of thing where it's, you know, like we're going to tell a story with words that tells you everything you need to know. You know, this is an old,
He's
like
he's
a
into
classic ballad.
Like we haven't done like the
Like the
Rosemary and the Jack of Hearts.
no, like Davy Crockett, that
in,
kind of thing.
Or
in-
I mean, a lot of them are dark, but I mean, Renadine,
What?
Crazy Man Michael,
I don't know any of these things.
just like old Scottish, like mountain music or whatever.
Okay.
if it tells a
that kind of
story,
stuff.
yeah. He's
I mean,
Well,
a lot of
that's
the-
the thing. Also,
he
when you
loves
were
the Davy
bringing up
Crockett.
"Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" soundtrack, speaking of narratives, I mean, a lot of old bluegrass stuff is straight up narrative. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's gonna, if he starts to really get that bug, that's an amazing.
Yeah, like a lot of like
Track to
murder,
go down.
murder songs too, like country death.
There are
music.
some of those,
Yeah.
but
I mean, that's a good place to start.
when they're just out of the womb.
yeah.
Yeah.
Knoxville Girl, you can start with Knoxville Girl.
Did a shot of cocaine and I shot my woman down.
Mhm. Cocaine Blues.
It's really fun, like upbeat track.
Are you a purveyor of a lot of bluegrassy type of rootsy
It's more
spiritual music?
It's more that like you don't if you're amazing at playing an instrument like a banjo or a guitar, flat picking guitar, that's awesome. But you can get away with being able to play those things on a guitar, knowing a few chords. You know, it's just a matter of it's
How you
really
use
them.
them.
To sing
Yeah.
together. An artist that I worked with, I think maybe we talked about her, Mia Dyson. She does she sings spirituals with her husband's family, and they're not like I don't know if his family's religious or not, but I don't think that she is religious in like a church way. She's probably more spiritual, and but after dinner on like Sunday nights or Saturday nights, they would sing 3 or 4 part harmony. And I found that, especially like after our dinners, sitting down at a piano and playing music, it's so much more fun. That's something that's going to be with me for the rest of my life. It's going to be something that I want to do, and I don't want him to be like, oh, dad's playing music, like this is so.
Well, when he
lame.
becomes a teenager, that's going to happen. So just be okay with that.
I will be okay with it. But if he's amazing at it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, by that time, he will have his own stuff. Dad, you don't understand what I'm listening to.
Yeah.
Just be prepared for that part.
He'll have the oral implant by then, and just like music will be downloaded, and he'll experience it in nanoseconds.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
the
Well, I
speed
won't
of
have to
thought.
listen to it then.
Exactly.
That's all right. That's probably like the greatest gift you can give parents.
I really don't understand what you kids are listening to these days. I mean, really, I don't understand it. It's not in my
I
head.
can't hear it. I can't experience the frequencies that your new
That's right.
brain implants allow you to experience.
Growing up, do you remember things that influenced you, that your parents introduced you to, either musically or otherwise, that did it work? Did it work on you?
You know, I do remember their record collection. I think that it was my older brother, and probably more my older brother than my older sister. He was like the school DJ, and he had like Big Mac Productions. He was like,
Awesome.
like a 14 or 15-year-old DJ with like a sweet hi-fi and all of like the albums.
Milk
And
crates.
so like I yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just crate after crate of albums, and he would just blast like Depeche Mode and The Cure and Erasure and all of these like things that just kind of got ingrained in my head. Pink Floyd and like, you know, classic rock. And then my dad had like Moody Blues and I don't even think we had like a lot of Beatles records or anything.
Doobie Brothers,
Doobie Brothers. We did
Steve
have Doobie
Miller?
Brothers. No, my dad did not
Creedence.
have. Creedence, yes.
Your dad and my dad would get along pretty well.
Yeah,
musically,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think. Yeah.
And in the car, just in Detroit, there was nothing but Motown on the radio. Like when you listen to an oldies station, I remember coming on a trip to Washington D.C. as a kid, and they were playing like the Dave Clark 5, and I was like, "What the hell
What's
is
this doing on the radio?"
crap? Like, what is this? Is like the worst. And I mean, great harmonies and like you know,
Yeah.
the Kingsmen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like really great singing and harmonies, and I can respect it. But like coming from a place where all I heard was like Stevie Wonder and the Temptations and Four Tops and
Supremes. yeah.
like just Motown constantly. It was either Motown, the Stones, and the Beatles, you know, or you turned on a modern station. Hearing that other music was just like so depressing for me. So I think radio influenced me as much as my parents. And my parents didn't push me to be musical. Like they actually constantly say like, how did you get into it? You know, and they reference my grandma Dorothy, who I basically never met. She was a really talented piano player. So maybe it just skipped by them. Yeah.
Well, I doubt it skipped by them if they experienced
They experienced
her,
the
but-
60s.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, I just imagine that they never, you know, I mean, as a person who appreciates music and stuff, you wouldn't kind of like try to push anything you love on any kid.
Yeah. They just let me find it.
Discover it. And Keith, kind of to use that question, we've talked a lot about like stuff that your dad would have on at the sites or that you guys would grow up listening to, like Steve Forbert was one that we've talked about in the past.
Well,
So-
that was my mom was the Steve Forbert fan. I mean, not that my dad didn't like him, but yeah.
But that was part of your parental influences. So where do you want to see Felix? Where is he?
Yeah, see,
What do you want him to listen to or
I was
watch or
lucky in
do?
that my dad, like you, is a great musician, and he always had his guitar. So we grew up always singing along with Dad's
Really?
songs.
That's awesome.
And my dad was a songwriter as well.
And a lot
so,
of your family are musicians.
Yeah,
still
yep.
too. Your brother, your sisters.
My sister actually plays. Well, she's not played as much the last couple of months, but she there for a long while was playing like 5 nights a week in Nashville, like live music. 4-hour sets. Goodness gracious, Nashville. How do you do it? But growing up, you know, I sang songs with Dad all the time, and it was a little confusing in that I just thought he made up every song that he ever played on guitar. It was just like, oh, that's Dad's song because he plays it all the time. So when I'd hear it on the radio, it was just like a really weird.
Mind blowing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, you know, it took me a while to kind of understand that paradigm that, like, no, Dad writes some songs and he plays others, and the ones we sing together are usually covers, you know, or whatever. We used to sing Under the Boardwalk a lot. That was one of one of the favorites that Dad and I would. And Brown Eyed Girl, for some reason, we'd sing that a lot. But that being said, I feel kind of bad that my father tried to teach me to play guitar half of my life. And I just never took to it because I was just stubborn and being like, I'm not going to learn. I'm left-handed. Until he gets me a left-handed guitar, I'm not going to learn. And just stupid. I don't know why. And honestly, it's work. It's work to learn at first. And it just didn't come as easily to me. And the whole time I'm like, well, this would be easier if I was doing it with my left hand, just dumb stuff. So now I'm kind of at the stage where I really wish I had followed through and learned to play anything other than drums so I could sing with my kid, Especially he is so musical. And I'm sure Henry is. I'm sure every kid is at this age. It's just kind of a part of he's developing language and the music. He just hears everything so well. And he's able to reproduce these sounds. Like, I'm like, wow, you've only heard that one time and you've got the melody. And it's just, I think it's because they're developing their language parts of their brain, and that's just more repeating sounds that they're able to kind of add to their data banks. So that's kind of a sad thing about my kid, is that I won't be able to play Under the Boardwalk with him or any awesome Weird Al songs.
Set it up on MIDI and go for it.
Yeah. Well, we've discovered lately how many songs are on YouTube that you can just type in karaoke and then you can just sing it. But still, it's not the same.
But singing, that's still your voice is an instrument.
Oh, certainly.
There's still like a level of instrumentation and tuning and training your ear and having that, and having a. And
I studied choral music. I took different choral classes and performed in different choruses for a big part of my education. So I am aware of my instrument my voice as my instrument. But that being said, it's just, I can't just take this guitar out camping. I can't.
Ukulele, my friend.
Well, no.
A recorder.
Even if, I still have to learn to play those things.
Play recorder at the same time.
So you just got to get that
sing along recorder.
Circular breathing. Yeah. That's how I do my didgeridoo.
Yeah.
And sing my didgeridoo parts. But that's kind of a little thing that's always weighing on me. It's like a little regret, and I know it's never too late. So maybe I will learn more than the 3 chords I know.
George Harrison would always he would just give people ukuleles all the time because he always had a ukulele on him. If he was flying somewhere, he had like 2 in first class, and he always had like 6 in the back of his car, and he would just give ukuleles to people.
Just so he could always have something to play?
Yeah, have something to play, and so
why didn't he just get a small guitar?
Well, they probably didn't have the backpackers back then, but
I guess that's a good point.
My wife picked up ukulele a month before our wedding, and she performed and sang the song from The Jerk. I know, belong. So she wrote her own lyrics to that, and at our wedding sang that. And she's got a little ukulele chord book, and she prints off songs and she plays it. And she always had I think a similar regret about not playing guitar, and she's a ukulele woman now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I really recommend ukulele. I enjoy playing it. It's maybe a little too much in the mainstream music thing now, or it was
I think
like
that's
5
okay.
years ago.
Yeah.
Just in your home, it's really sweet and doesn't.
It's funny it's all music that we're talking about.
Yeah,
that's interesting. When growing up, my mother was always listening to Bob Dylan or Neil Young or, name any other like amazingly talented people, and this is my mother's like record collection. And there became this moment when I was probably 8 or 9 where I was just like, ugh, Mom's playing her music. And it took me until well beyond my teens. I was probably 24 or 25 before I was really able to get back into any of the stuff that my mom played, and which was really bad for my musical education because I totally avoided Bob Dylan because that's my mom's ultimate favorite. I still never got into the Grateful Dead. I'm afraid to introduce Felix to certain things because I don't want that reaction.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like I could totally see him having that reaction to Elvis Costello.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Elvis Costello is a little bit of an acquired taste beyond the first couple of like
he's not
hit
saccharine.
Records. Yeah, and you have to kind of appreciate him. It doesn't just happen to you. Well, I mean, if you were to listen to his first 4 albums, you'd have no problem just getting into it. But like, by the time you get into Something Blue or King of America, so that's kind of some of the pitfalls I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Because I would hate for him to just kind of have this negative connotation to the band and not experience them until one of his cool friends tell him that it's okay.
What were you guys playing in his first like year of life? Did he play a lot of music?
We didn't play a lot of music out loud for him at his first year. We still don't play a lot of music out loud in the house.
Yeah.
He's finally at an age where he's asking for music, so we've been playing a lot more. But I don't know. All of my adult life, I've always liked to have music playing. But something about I don't know. I'm not blaming my wife, but she doesn't like it as much to just have music playing. I guess she appreciates silence.
Quietness.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm of the like multiple levels of distraction to get anything done. So.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I don't actively put music on, but I kind of forced that to happen. Like even when I'm in the car, I listen to NPR and like don't listen to my own music or like things that I would listen to. And I'm really trying to go against that and listen to a lot of stuff. We played a lot of reggae, which is not something that, I'm actually like opposed to bad reggae so much that but we would put on the Jimmy Cliff station on Pandora and just let that go. And
just like John Holt hit after John Holt hit.
I think it had a real influence on him.
Can I just state for the record that Jimmy Cliff is a really underrated musician?
Oh, it's amazing.
I don't know why people don't like revere him as much as
his stuff is incredible.
Yeah.
And then the kind of tangents from him on like an algorithm based music thing aren't as severe as like Steel Pulse and UB40. Nothing against UB40, but like it's like a world of old reggae and early ska. So it was what influenced ska, I guess.
Specials. And
It's interesting because you kind of have to. That's Spotify, right?
That's on Pandora, but
Pandora,
Spotify
that's what I
is
mean.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah. My friend has these tricks to find these awesome Pandora stations. In that, if you find this genre of, like you were mentioning The Cure earlier, he was like, you can't put on The Cure because
one away.
Yeah, you got to get what's the band OBM or what's the
In Excess.
No, it's a band that you've heard all their songs.
Yeah.
ODM is that a band?
I don't know ODM.
Zero, is it DB?
No, it's definitely it's 3 letters. Anyway, it's like a Duran Duran type of a band, but it's not Duran Duran. It's the inside baseball version of Duran Duran.
Exactly. Yeah.
And therefore, every song that comes off after that is like great.
Yeah.
You don't get the tangents that if you just typed in
too broad.
Duran Duran, you would end up with like playing a taco song later.
Yeah.
Which is I like taco, but. Anyway, that's how Jimmy Cliff gamed it for you.
Yeah, Jimmy Cliff, man, it's so good, and he knows like these songs, like this song Rudy. It's like an old
Rudy, can't tell. Yeah, that's the Specials do that as well. Later,
he's like kind of versed in that, and we never had any of like the nursery rhyme bullshit on like that kind of very just music that just drives me crazy.
Yeah,
I would rather hear nothing than hear like just like fake xylophones playing
Twinkle.
Like, oh my.
No, the worst ones is there's a station that plays on Time Warner cable that you can turn on, and it's called Toddler Tunes. There have been a couple mornings when I would flip that on not too long ago, after, like I said, we started playing more music for him and stuff. And what would happen is there's this whole subgenre of these musicians who are just playing like, hey, it's the Toddler Tunes version of all these Beatles songs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do I need that? Why not just play the Beatles?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I stopped. I was just like, I don't need this.
That being said, there's a really great album.
That's true. The Peanuts.
There's a Peanuts collection. It's kids singing Beatles tunes. There's a bunch of different albums of them.
We should put a link to that up because it's great. And Holt introduced it to me.
Yeah, there's a track. It's all like toy instruments. Mm-hmm. So like those toy pianos.
It's all little kids singing.
Little kids singing. And what was it like? What's the track like?
We'll think of it. Let's move on because
he loves you, yeah. He loves you, yeah, with a love like that. And there's this little girl like hits a high register and her voice cracks.
Yeah,
and it's just
beautiful.
It's like it's really annoying to like make people listen to it, I think, but It's if you're in the mood and mode, it's a
sweet.
really like fun
Yeah.
thing to listen to, and listening to little kids sing is very fun.
There's just a quality to some of the music that seems a little like antidepressant, like
Yeah.
you know, like
Saccharin. It's like fake
Yeah.
sugar. Yeah.
I don't know.
And especially when they're taking good music and doing that to it.
Mm-hmm.
So Keith, what would you?
Well,
what's your
based
kinda,
on the
like,
concerns
first
that
thing?
I mentioned earlier, like I hope I don't kind of give him.
Push him away.
Yeah. What I can't wait for, what I think is going to be great, is when I do reach a stage when I can actually share with him a couple of records that I just find to be amazing. And one of them is the second half of Blonde on Blonde by Bob Dylan. And that's doubly hard because Bob Dylan, in a way, is kind of a hard, especially when he starts playing the harp. It's not instantly like, oh, I want to put this in my headphones and listen to it. So you really have to, I don't know how it happens, but you really have to kind of work your way into it. And so that's what I can't wait to get to with him. And specifically, that second half of Blonde on Blonde is some of my all-time favorite drum beats and drumming, period, and drum producing come off of that. It's just a masterpiece. There's a song, Temporary Like Achilles, is just so amazing. And Fourth Time Around, there's a song called Fourth Time Around that I just consider to be, if you're going to produce percussion and if you're going to ever record it, this would be like number one on my learn how they did this, because it's just amazing. The drums in this are amazing, and they're so simple. And they've got to be mic'd so simply as well.
It sounded to me like it's just a mic in the room, and Bob Dylan's famous for just having, like, he doesn't even have headphones on. He sits in with the band, and I know this is true of later recordings, but I'm guessing it's how he's always recorded.
Probably.
In front of, there's just mics in the room, and when they need, like, they start with his vocal, and when they need more bass, they actually bring up the bass mic for the first time,
Wow.
but there's bass in his vocal mic. He sings in a huge U47, like, usually. And then, the drums are probably bleeding through. He sings in great rooms, like the places he was recording in New York were great. And then I don't know where they ended up doing that album in Nashville.
The last one was Nashville, but I know Kenny Buttress is Kenny Buttry, rather. Kenny Buttry was the drummer for this one. Oh, Columbia Studio on Nashville Row.
I mean, it's just like the greatest room in the world, and we're like up on par with that.
Yeah,
so good.
It's just so simple snare. It's just so simple hi-hat, and you don't even hear some of the stuff that's going on in this. But Fourth Time Around, if you want to, that song is, to me, is like the ultimate in percussion.
I wonder, in terms of like getting kids to like stuff, like if it serves us well as parents to tell them how great something is, or if it's just like expose them
and just
multiple
back
times
off.
and just like,
I think that's
or
the way
like
to do
you
it.
just go off in your own world and sing along and like, just get a big smile on your face.
Well, I think the way you need to do, this is going to be my approach, is there's going to be a time when they want to be like adults.
Yeah.
So I want to listen to stuff where I want to expose him in a way that makes him think, oh, that's what if I do this, I'll seem more like a grown-up.
Yeah.
So whatever that is. Therefore, I can't be like, hey, buddy, check this out. It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. I mean, you won't believe the drums on this song. Kenny Buttrey's so good. No, I think like you said, you just got to play it cool.
Yeah, it's so hard though.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, is the game, you build your mixtape that's got like Sesame Street songs that you can sing along to, Rubber Ducky, and then it goes into your Dylan track, and like it's a sort of insidious like we're all going to sing this and having a great time, and oh, this song's on, I'm going to sing this and have a great time. Like, I can't tell you how many tapes and stuff my whole family would mostly know, because we aren't in the age of road trips anymore. But yeah, you do an 8-hour road trip with the same 2 records on repeat, like flipping over. Everyone knows them. Everyone can sing them. And if you then when you're
Chronicle
older, you're
by,
making a mix.
Creedence Clearwater Revival was that. I think the way I intend to play it is I don't like to kind of separate it and say like, oh, here's some kids' music, and I just want it to be music, because that's kind of how I approach it. I don't like saying like, I don't like kind of divvying things up into genres. I just like to say this is an amazing song.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if making it a mix where it's like, we're going to enjoy music.
Yeah.
And all these things are music, and some are like easy ins where like you can jump in and like I can stop singing and you can just keep singing because they only say George Washington Bridge the entire time. Like, there's your song. Then we're going to get into a complicated song where I'm still enthusiastic and drumming on the steering wheel or whatever. And so you, like you're saying, they catch that.
Oh,
you're
you
into
drive?
It. Well, you are.
You're gonna be
I'm
driving.
being you in this
Oh,
situation.
got it.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
a terrible driver.
I think one of the greatest little, it's hard to say advice because like there's a million different little ethos of parenting, but like one of the things that I saw was like if you want your kid to like reading and you like reading, like actually spend some time sitting on the couch and reading what you want to read. Actually like listen to the music that you want to read, and they're going to know that that's important to you, and hopefully it'll seem cool for a few years before we're not cool.
I will say, I kind of, for some reason, I had this negative connotation with some of the stuff that my mother, like I said, Bob Dylan was just like, oh, that's mom's music. But there was definitely some stuff that my dad played when I was a kid that I never had that reaction. It's always been like instant favorite of mine. I don't know if you know who Johnny Rivers is.
I know the name, but
like Creedence Clearwater Revival. Johnny Rivers was this guy that used to sing old. He was like his famous record was one off of he played at Whiskey A Go Go, and he did this live record. But he did that Secret Agent Man, Secret Agent Man. But he would sing all these other like I would learn later are great like old Commodore songs and stuff like this. I forget who originally did, but. The tracks of my tears. Yeah. He was kind of a throwback singer.
he was like a crooner.
Yeah, but well,
Not really.
It was more like a
Would like Leon
Chuck
Redbone
Berry.
I can think of his.
no. He would do like a
voice.
Chuck Berry type. He would do Chuck Berry songs. Well, I guess the way to describe it is he took a catalog of music from like 15 years before his era and sang it then. So therefore, he was kind of a throwback artist then, but that was the early 70s.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, like who knows what time period all this is? It's just this one guy singing all these songs. I still love every one of his songs. Creedence, the Chronicle record. So I don't know why, for some reason, those escaped that idea. But I think it's maybe because I felt like my dad and I were discovering it together as opposed to it being played at me.
Kids also have a visceral feeling about
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
We put on a Prince album or I'm trying to think of. There's a guy named Nick Gilder. He sang Hot Child in the City. Mm-hmm. It's like Henry's favorite song of all time.
Huh.
And then we put on a Heart album, and he started crying. He was like too old to cry about stuff, but like he was like, it wasn't like he was like a little tiny baby.
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
just like, what is this horrible music?
Wow.
And it's the one with
Barracuda?
Magic Man.
Yeah,
and
Magic
Barracuda,
Man, yeah.
and he just couldn't stand it. Led Zeppelin, he's not into.
I'm
that
starting to
there's,
see
like-
it's a vocal. It must be a vocal
I think
pitch
it's,
thing.
yeah. But Nick Gilder has a really high voice too. I don't know.
I definitely had a negative reaction to Led Zeppelin as a kid.
Yeah.
Especially when my mother had these live videotapes of them playing like I forget where, like Hall in London. It's a pretty famous live performance, and I just remember just being like, oh, when are these songs over?
Yeah.
The guy's gonna playing the guitar, and he's got a bass bow, and I'm just like, oh, stop it, Jimmy Page.
That's really interesting. I don't think I'll force any Jeff Buckley on him or like just some amazing. It might just be like this like high pitched thing kids aren't into.
Yeah, I wonder.
The darkness would just like test it.
The
just
darkness.
The darkness.
Like
yeah.
find like start with just like figure out the gradations.
Has he listened to any Wilco? Has he had any reactions?
No,
to that?
we haven't really listened to Wilco. Wilco's kind of my like personal music.
What
like
about
Sky
like,
Blue Sky? I'll put that
my
on
gosh.
and just kind of like disappear in my very
That is-
like
that is it
sober
for me, too,
parent.
yeah.
Like,
what about something more that is like in that bridge of traditional like Mermaid Avenue, the brag stuff?
No, we haven't turned stuff like that on. He's listened to some Steely Dan, but like it kind of is in the background. But we'll have like a Daft Punk dance party, and like he's totally into it. Like nothing really offends him anymore, I don't think. But he's a very active listener now. Like, and we got an Alexa, the Amazon thing that you.
Or you could say like play this. It's
Yeah.
like a little Siri device.
I just wanted a speaker, and my friend told me it was a really great speaker, and it was a lot cheaper than the Sonos. We just needed another speaker, so I got the Amazon. Alexa, and he yells at the thing constantly. play, Let It Go by Indina Menzel. That's what he yells across the room over and over again. So he just wants to hear the same thing constantly. So
Yeah, Felix is monkey music. Monkey music.
music.
So
it is good.
I'm a big fan of that, and I actually that was this. Jack Johnson was kind of a guilty pleasure of mine for so
Was he?
long, and then after a while I was like, why should he be a guilty pleasure? Why can't I just like the guy? Because I do. It was when that came out, I was just like, fuck it, people. I'm a big fan of Jack Johnson, and everyone else can.
Hearing him through my son's ears, I guess, made me like him more.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is that I ever was embarrassed about with him. There was a Saturday Night Live sketch that they used to do where it was him and Dave Matthews hanging out.
Yeah.
And maybe
I
it
haven't
was
seen
that.
this. I was a huge Dave Matthews fan too. I need to see
That's
this.
a pretty good skit.
So, but I don't know why I ever had that reaction to him. Maybe because he didn't have maybe this edge that I felt like maybe musicians needed to have. I don't know, and maybe it just seemed like it was coming too easy to him.
Yeah.
I don't understand what it is, but it was that soundtrack where I was just like, you know what, I'm in on Jack Johnson, and I've bought several records since then. And I love them.
So have you played Blonde on Blonde yet in front of Felix?
No. Yeah, I have my playlist in my phone. When we're riding in the car, I'll often sync it up to it. But unless it just randomly pops up there, which it could because it's in my phone. But no, I haven't really done any of that yet. But we're going to.
Yeah.
We just haven't gotten to that stage.
I bet
yet.
with Dylan, if you made yourself like a caricature of Dylan as the song's playing, I bet kids would like seeing somebody act out their Dylan even more than listening to the original Dylan.
Well, I certainly grew up liking Bob Dylan covers way more than Bob Dylan, which is silly. I don't know why. But I mean, there's something about maybe it's the pitch of his voice.
Yeah.
But it's certainly his harmonica could make me take my headphones off.
That's something we talked about a while ago was Sam Cooke's "Blowin' in the Wind" versus Bob Dylan's. And you were kind of saying better than the original.
I still stand by that. But
Jimi Hendrix,
Watchtower.
All Along the Watchtower.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's the best score to an episode of a science fiction television show that has ever been.
I think if you made Bob Dylan kind of silly, I think it would be a bridge into his world.
And Bob Dylan would be happy with being silly for a lot of parts of his career.
And you could watch what was the Santa Bob Dylan song?
Oh, I don't know this.
You don't know this one?
No.
He did a Christmas album, and he's got a version of Here Comes. It's not a version. It's his song. It's called Here Comes Santa, and it's actually like done like an old traditional Jewish song.
Huh.
And the video's crazy.
Is he singing in his Nashville Skyline voice?
He's singing in his I can barely get a word out anymore voice.
So this is like
this is very
90s.
recent. Yeah.
Oh, very
this is
recent.
probably the last 10 years, I think.
Oh, okay.
But there's a lot of, it's not polka. It's
Klezmer
Yeah,
kind
klezmer.
of stuff.
it's klezmer. That's the
yeah.
word I was looking for. It's a klezmer Christmas song. It's great.
Wow, that's great.
Cool.
Yeah, he might like it.
I'll seek that out at
And
Christmas.
that's something too. Do you guys play a lot of seasonal music, like Christmas time, all Christmas music? And
Jingle Bells is the biggest song that ever existed.
Even more so than Yellow Submarine?
Yeah, Jingle Bells. Elmo started doing Jingle Bells too, which he hasn't seen a lot of Elmo, but Elmo's song is like the Jingle Bells tune. Not one of the thing that he plays in the episode when he talks about fish or whatever the theme of the episode is. He goes fish, 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 fish,
Oh,
fish,
no.
fish, 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 fish. Whatever it is, that's what he does. So Jingle Bells is just, I think it's eased up now that we've got Gaston in the playlist. But,
good.
but yeah, at Christmas time, I switch out his nighttime song from Blackbird to "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." Just,
The Blackbird by the Beatles?
by the Beatles.
Yeah.
He was surprised when Paul McCartney came on the radio one day, in the same way that you were surprised as a kid. He's like, "That's Dad's song."
Yeah.
He looked at me and he gave me a big hug, which was cool. But he wants it to be Redbird. He's
Oh,
like,
interesting.
no, sing it, sing the Redbird song.
Wow.
So I
cool.
sing it as Redbird. I have no idea why.
I will say Felix has heard "And Your Bird Can Sing," and he likes that song.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Beatles, man.
That guitar hook is super infectious
Yeah.
on that song.
Second side of Blonde on Blonde. What else, Keith, before we roll out of here?
Well, this is something that I'm sure he will be able to be exposed to sooner than that. Probably the Planet Earth DVDs, the Planet Earth movies that are the nature documentaries that the BBC and just, I don't know if it's purely the BBC, but they're mostly responsible for it. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's interesting because that's like my sister. The early screen time she gave her kids, it was only YouTube stuff and usually curated. Like her and my brother-in-law would sit with them, and it would be like around Halloween they'll freeze pumpkins and give them to the big cats to play with.
Oh yeah.
So you'll see like tigers and lions in zoos
batting these around,
or in sanctuaries playing with these frozen pumpkins, and they just loved it. It was unnarrated, just and usually like just maybe some music, maybe just kind of like the sounds of them like wow wow wow.
Well, I will say
but it's just kind of like fun, like watching animals have fun.
Yeah, the narration and the music behind Planet Earth is kind of like 2/3 of how great it is.
Yeah, it's
too.
really
I mean,
incredible.
and everything about that is amazing. But the narration and the music. I mean, it's the London Philharmonic.
I don't think you've got to feel bad. Like, I don't think you should feel like that's even screen time. And you were talking about sitting down with your kids too. Like, I think a lot of the disconnect is parents like putting their kids in front of something
And then going and
like
doing
just
something
going
else.
and doing their
Yeah.
thing, which happens sometimes.
Right,
you gotta
right.
Cook
You have to
dinner.
sometimes,
You got to
yeah.
do certain things,
Right,
but
or like distract them so you can put their clothes on or something.
But some of like the most like the conversations we're having about Spider-Man, like we're talking about everything else
Yeah.
too, and you know, we're both kind of connecting, and sometimes I sit down and watch like a whole episode of something, and I'm like, all right, well, at least I'm sitting with him. You know, I could be being more productive right now, but we're kind of connecting over this.
I don't
thing.
know if you have this issue, but I love to be able to have something to talk about with Felix.
Yeah.
You know, that's not like, hey, you rode your scooter. How was it?
Yeah.
You know, and he only turned 2 a couple weeks ago, so he's not really able to have much of a conversation, but I love to be able to have, like you said, if it was a Spider-Man thing, I would be able to say like, oh man, what did you think? You know, I would love to be able to have that shared experience to discuss later.
That's what it is. Like if whether or not it's pop culture and videos and stuff, it's sharing experience with your kid, you know,
and being able to recount that and retell it. I think that those are important skills for a kid to have, for a person to have, is to be able to, you know, just be able to fill in the blanks with their imagination.
Well, the key is like you basically just pit different people against Spider-Man. Who would win in a fight, Henry? Me or Spider-Man? Your dad or Spider-Man?
we talk about it on a regular basis. You be a T-Rex, I'll be Venom. Like just things from all sorts of walks of life. You know, dinosaurs are
Hit
big
against one another.
But you be the big Venom. I'll be the little Venom. So we'll have Eddie Brock versus Peter Parker.
That's pretty wild.
It's really weird and wild.
So Felix is pretty early verbal, right?
Yep. I mean, he does have some complex sentences already, but it's, you know, it's not a whole lot.
Cool.
You know, the other day he just started school. He just started school a couple weeks ago. He goes 2 days a week, and he's been really cool in that they don't, you know, a lot of the parents, and this doesn't mean he's good or bad or whatever, but he doesn't care when we leave. Like a lot of kids are like, "Mom, no." He's like, "Bye, you guys. I'm going to play with all these trains because they got so many more toys here at school than at my house. So have fun. I'm going to go have fun." I would say his 4th or 5th class, the teacher said, you know, today he got a little emotional about his mom, and he actually teared up a little bit. He didn't cry, but he teared up a little bit. And we were like, wow, that feels great. He actually misses us, you know. Later on that day, he goes, I cried for Mama. I cried. We said, hey, Felix, how was nap time today? I cried for Mama. So that's the amount of of conversation he has, like that complex of a.
But he remembers something that happened that day. He remembers like the time and the place and the emotion and.
Yeah, but that's about his most complicated communication so far.
Yeah, that's still pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So how old when you introduce him to Planet Earth?
Hopefully soon.
Pretty
actually,
soon,
yeah. I mean, if he will start to kind of sit through it.
Do you have to drive to like Tennessee or anything? Do you ever do long drives?
I am going to drive to Tennessee in a couple days, I think.
Yeah, with him.
No,
No.
not this time. But we do in July. We usually drive down to
Yeah.
Tennessee.
That's sort of how we got into videos and stuff. Is driving to Michigan. So
And you play that in the car, kind of.
we would play the movie Babies.
Oh
it's-
right, yeah, yeah, okay. My sister would show that to her kids pretty.
I mean,
young, too.
that's
That's
like
the
in that
documentary
same-
about-
the documentary
Yeah.
about like 4 kids around the
Yeah.
world watching, and it was like I didn't feel bad about showing it to them. Kids
Right.
love babies.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, even though like spoiler, the 4th baby, it's like Morgan Freeman's like, and it seems that the parents in depression have left the child. So yeah, I mean it's dark. The 4th
Yeah.
baby is a dark story, but
Mhm.
I mean I guess that's like it's a lesson to teach the kids, right?
Well, I mean that
behave.
That could.
Behave, lest your parents become depressed and
there's-
just leave
it's-
you on the
It's
veldt.
like 3 kids growing up and then 1 kid getting dropped off in the middle of nowhere by himself.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, then it gets raised by wild animals and
Yeah.
grows up.
And that's where the Jungle Book
Yeah.
is the sequel to Babies.
Yeah.
The Bible,
But anyway,
the sequel
this
to
has been
Babies.
new to you.
Yeah, guys, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great series of recommendations for people who
Yeah,
are
I
gonna
think.
have
Well,
kids.
you know, I don't know if it's if our recommendations were as kind of big a part of this as just kind of our kind of discussions about our theories on kids and stuff. I
Yeah.
think.
Well, if your parents never introduced you to the second side of Blonde on Blonde,
Yeah.
or the Oh Brother Where Art You soundtrack, or Planet Earth, or Jimmy
Fantastic
Cliff,
Mr.
or
Fox.
Fantastic Mr.
Yeah.
Fox, or Spider-Man's house, which is huge. It's probably one of the biggest buildings in New
Well,
York.
it's-
my Spider-Man house.
yeah, it's taller than the Empire State Building, from what I
Yeah.
understand.
Then you should go.
It's an
you should go
architectural
seek
marvel.
Those are all recommendations.
Yeah.
There's a reason you want to show your kids them. But again, thanks. We'll
And
we'll-
the Mavis Staples record.
Oh, it's an amazing record. I just look at it more as a place that I want to be as a father.
You know that they put out a record. Jeff Tweedy and his son put out a record
No,
together.
I don't know that.
They've even toured and stuff as a band.
Really?
So, yeah. I don't want to dwell on this too much, but if you're Jeff Tweedy's son and your drum coach is
Oh my God,
Leo Kotka, or
Yeah.
forget it, or Kochi, or however
Yeah.
you pronounce it.
Glenn Kottke.
Yeah, Glenn Kotka.
Yeah, he's the best in the world.
Do you ever listen to Song Exploder podcast?
No, but everybody tells me to listen to it.
Well, there's one in particular, the Wilco one is pretty amazing in that I've always known Jeff Tweedy is very hands-on at the demo stage.
Yeah.
And then he kind of like gets hands-off after that. But he was going through the phases of writing the song. It's super inspiring in that so many of these Song Exploder episodes, you realize kind of how kind of rote some of the stuff is. Jeff Tweedy's setting up Wilco songs in such an artistic way. It's pretty amazing. It's like I said, it's inspiring because he's really, you know, it's a really kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And once something happens that I get inspired by, I'm going to explore that, which is an amazing way to approach at this stage in their career. But he had his son record the demo for this song. Once it gets to a certain phase, they're like, then Glenn does his drums. And when you hear his track isolated and you hear like all the stuff you're missing in his drum track, you're like, this guy is drumming like 5 times more than he needs to for this song, but
Yeah.
it's so much
It's so
texture.
tasteful. and
Yeah,
it's
tasteful is
It's never like he never goes into Neil Peart territory. But watching him and watching Neil Peart would be very similar.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Every part of their body is moving in constant like.
and they're just surrounded by drums, like they're lowered into their kits.
Well, Glenn Kochke's set is
It's pretty
kit
huge.
is
It's
pretty
intense,
something.
and
Yeah,
it like the way his body is moving with every single beat. You know, even if you're just hearing a shaker track and a kick drum,
Yeah.
it's him like really kind of his whole body kind of dances behind the kit.
and no disrespect to their old drummer, because I was always inspired by their old drum. I don't know his name, but he was a really good too. And seeing him live was really inspiring when I saw them play.
Pete Best.
Was it Pete Best? No.
It's the Beatles first drummer.
Was that the movie? Was that the movie about him?
There was a movie about him, I think.
Backbeat.
Yeah.
Okay. Great soundtrack by
I
the
don't know
way.
that one.
Like they had.
There's a recommendation.
Yeah, the
Backbeat.
the Backbeat soundtrack is great. Like 2 of the guys from REM were playing as the Beatles and stuff. It's great. But he would play, and it was almost as if he could switch hands in the middle of a song. Like so when you're drumming, one of your hands is almost always playing part of the beat that matches with the bass. So it's a conversation between the snare and the bass, or the hi-hat and the bass, like your bump sound and your tut sound. So however you combine those two, that's usually one hand is the dominant part, and the other hand is the bop and the tops and the bop and the pap sound. And he could kind of switch between. It was really interesting to see. Like you would kind of wonder if he was right or left-handed while he's playing. It's pretty amazing. But his name is not Pete Best. Summer Teeth.
I'll wrap this up
Summer
by
Teeth album.
saying that you're a little behind the ball on Mozarting your kid. You're going to get a second chance soon, Pat. And Keith, this is the time is now. It's time to Mozart. Time to crack the whip. Get that kid. Wrap his knuckles if he's not
Those
hitting the
2 days
ivories.
at school are 2 days that he's not playing
His harpsichord.
Yeah. Get him on there. He can be writing tunes in 3 years.
It's true.
Do it.
His Celeste
Playing
stuff.
for kings.
His hands are big enough. This kid's got huge hands already, so
There you
got to
go.
get him tickling them ivories.
Do it. Wrap those knuckles if he's not working hard enough.
Such a question, there are many possible answers, such as hard work.
Feel I'm alone in this whole of
Hey everybody,
existence.
thanks for listening to another episode of the New to You Show. I was one of your hosts, John Holtz. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho. Keith, where can people find you?
You can find some of my artwork, outdated as it is, on earthlingkeith.tumblr.com.
All right, and Pat, where can people find you?
I think Patrick Couples is a guy on Twitter.
All right.
I'm pretty sure I should change it to Henry's dad. More people would find me
At Henry's dad.
at Henry's dad.
Well, at least more people would know how to find you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think Patrick Couples at Patrick Couples.
All
And I
right.
think at Mr. Couples on Instagram. I think there's one photo of me. There's one photo I've taken, but I'm tagged in a
On
bunch.
Instagram.
On Instagram, yeah.
All right. And your band,
Hotels and Highways.com. Yeah,
And I say
then,
that on Board Ghost.
I've got
over and over
some
again.
stuff on Bandcamp as me too.
All right.
As Patrick Couples.
Thank you both for coming on. Hope you have good luck with your second spawn.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I hope so, too.
can't wait
It's
to
real soon.
find out more about
Find
it.
out. I'm excited to find out what it is.
You guys
I
kept
bet
that
it's a baby.
secret?
I bet you. I hope it's
I
a
bet it's a
human.
baby.
I hope it's human.
Yeah. I mean, or if it still has gills, it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Like a
yeah.
tank
Dude,
kid.
I've seen Waterworld. That shit's
Yeah.
cool.
Climate change is bringing a lot of alterations.
That's okay. We'll have an X-Man or woman.
Yeah.
A real
A
Spider-Man.
real, we would have a real Spider-Man. Or as he says when he's Venom, Spider-Man. Only when he's Venom.
All right. And Keith, you're going down to Tennessee pretty soon here, so have a good trip.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And
Go honky tonkin'.
I should
Yeah.
be out there when this
Yeah.
airs. Yeah.
all right, and travel safe. Guys, thanks again.
Thank you.
Everybody, we'll put links to the website, to all of the stuff that we talked about here on the website, newtoyoushow.com. You can follow us on iTunes. Good way to subscribe there, or any podcast portal.
Leave some comments if you want.
Yeah,
On iTunes.
You can follow us on Twitter at New to You Show. I've also got the shows up on YouTube if you'd like to listen to your stuff while looking at a very low quality JPEG of the show episode number, basically, in our logo.
Well, I will say, playing stuff in the car, the YouTube stuff
YouTube's pretty good.
It's pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So those are all ways you can listen to us. Again, thanks guys for coming on. It was a good conversation, and it may not be new, but maybe it's new to you.
Explosion sound.
Boom.
Pitiful life is all about the music. This pitiful life is all about the music.
With him together forever, without the limitation of time ever again. So the second coming of the Lord is not dead. They're two separate.